How many times have you walked out of a salon holding back tears until you reached your car? How many times have you said, "I love it," while absolutely dying inside? How many times have you blamed your face, your hair texture, your head shape for a haircut you didn't even ask for? Here's the painful truth nobody's telling you. The problem was never your face. It was never your hair. It was never even your stylist. The problem is that single, vague, impossibly broad word you keep using, bob. And today, I'm giving you the 3 exact words to say instead that will guarantee you actually walk out looking like that Pinterest photo for once. Stay with me. Look, I've been in this industry long enough to know that most haircut disasters aren't skill problems. They're communication problems. Your stylist isn't a mind reader. And bob is probably the most misunderstood word in the entire hair world. It's an umbrella term, a category, not a style. So in this video, I'm breaking down exactly why bob keeps failing you and, more importantly, the 3 specific words you need to replace it with. Words that describe length, weight, and shape so clearly that your stylist can't get it wrong. This is the video I wish someone made 10 years ago. So if you're tired of the guessing game and ready to finally get the haircut you actually want, subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a hair fix. Now let's get into it. Before I give you these 3 words, I need you to understand something fundamental. When you sit in that salon chair and say, "I want a bob," you think you're being clear. You have this perfect image in your head. Maybe it's the French girl effortless chic. Maybe it's the sleek, powerful boss energy. Maybe it's soft and romantic. But here's what your stylist hears. "I want my hair shorter, somewhere around my face, in some kind of shape." That's it. That's all the information they have. And now they're about to spend the next 45 minutes making decisions you should have made together. Decisions about where it lands. Decisions about how it moves. Decisions about how the edges look. They're guessing. Educated guessing, sure, but guessing. And when they guess wrong, you cry in the car. So, let's end this. Forever. Length, the anchor point. The first word I need you to master is length. But not the way you've been using it. Here's the problem. When you say short bob or long bob or even lob, those words mean nothing concrete. Short to who? Long compared to what? Your idea of short and your stylist's idea of short could be 3 inches apart. And 3 inches on a bob. That's the difference between chic and catastrophic. Specific length fixes this entirely. Instead of using relative words like short or long, you're going to anchor your length to a specific, unmovable point on your body. Something you can both see. Something you can both agree on. Something that cannot be misinterpreted. Your chin. Your jawline. Your collarbone. Your shoulders. The bottom of your earlobes. The nape of your neck. These are anchor points. Fixed locations. Unchangeable references. So instead of saying, "I want a short bob," you say, "I want the length to hit right at my chin." Instead of, "I want a lob," you say, "I want it to graze my collarbone." Instead of "not too short," you say, "I need it to reach my jawline, no higher." Do you feel the difference? There's no room for interpretation. You've drawn a line, a boundary, an anchor. And here's a pro tip. Touch the spot. Literally put your fingers on your chin or your jaw and say, "Here." Make your stylist acknowledge it. Get them to repeat it back to you. Because now you have a contract, a visual, physical agreement about where this haircut ends. Let me give you some common examples, so this clicks. Ear length. This means the bottom of your bob sits right at your earlobes. It's short, bold, and very committed. Think vintage flapper vibes or modern editorial edge. Chin length. The classic. It hits right at your chin, framing your face beautifully. This is the length most people picture when they think bob. Jaw length. Slightly longer than chin, sitting right at your jawline. More softness, more versatility, still very much a bob. Collarbone length. This is your lob territory. Long enough to pull back if needed, but short enough to have that bob shape and swing. Shoulder length. Grazing the tops of your shoulders. Maximum lob length before you're just in long hair territory. See how specific that is?
No confusión. No interpretación.
Just clear, measurable length that both you and your stylist can agree on before a single snip happens. Length is your anchor point. Master it. But length is only the beginning. Because even if you nail the length, you can still walk out with the wrong haircut entirely. Which brings me to the second word. Layers, the movement map. This one changes everything. And it's where most bob disasters are born. Layers determine the internal structure of your haircut. They dictate how your bob moves, falls, sits, and behaves on your head every single day. Two bobs can be the exact same length and look completely different. One might be sleek and heavy, hugging your face like a silk curtain. The other might be bouncy and flicky, with movement and lift. Same length, totally different layers. Let me walk you through the options you need to know. 1 length. This means no layers at all. Every single hair ends at the same point. Maximum weight at the bottom. The hair falls straight down in one solid mass. This creates that blunt, heavy, dramatic look. Think Cleopatra. Think Anna Wintour. Think power and precision. 1 length is sleek, bold, and requires commitment. It looks stunning on straight, fine hair because all that weight creates density and drama. Long layers. This means the layers are subtle, cut longer, and blended softly throughout. You still have weight at the bottom, but there's gentle movement through the mid-lengths. Long layers add softness, without sacrificing that solid bob shape. Perfect for someone who wants a hint of movement but still loves that classic silhouette. Short layers. This means the layers are cut higher, closer to the crown, creating more lift and volume at the top. Short layers remove weight from the interior and add serious movement. Your bob becomes bouncier, fuller, more textured. But be careful, on fine hair, too short layers can look wispy and thin. On thick hair, they're magic. Graduated layers. This is where the back is stacked, shorter layers building on top of longer ones, creating that angled, wedge-like shape. The back is fuller and rounder, the front is longer and sleeker. Graduated layers give you that classic A-line silhouette with built-in volume at the crown. Very structured, very polished. Face framing layers. These aren't throughout the whole bob, they're concentrated around your face only. Shorter pieces that frame your cheekbones, your jaw, your forehead. They add softness and dimension without changing the overall structure. Perfect for anyone who wants their bob to flatter their face shape specifically. Now here's where people mess up constantly. They show a photo of a 1-length bob but say, I want something easy and low maintenance with lots of movement. That's layered. They want layers. But the photo says 1 length. So the stylist does 1 length. And the client wonders why her hair won't move. Or they want that voluminous, stacked look in the back. That's graduated, but they say, just a simple bob with some layers. The stylist does long layers throughout, and the client wonders where all that shape went. Or they ask for lots of layers when they actually just want face framing pieces. So they end up with short layers everywhere, losing all the weight they actually loved. See the problem? When you sit in that chair after you give your length, you specify your layers. I want a chin-length bob with long layers. I want a jaw-length bob, 1 length, no layers. I want a collarbone lob with graduated layers in the back. I want shoulder length with just face framing layers. Now your stylist knows exactly where it ends and exactly how it's built inside. You're not speaking in vague feelings anymore. You're giving them a movement map. Layers are your movement map. Know exactly what you're asking for. But we're still not done. There's one more detail that most people completely overlook. The finishing touch that makes your bob look polished or undone, severe or soft, editorial or everyday. Texture, the finishing signature. I want you to think about fashion for a second. Think about a skirt, a dress, a pair of trousers. The hem is the edge. The finish, it's how the garment ends. And it completely changes the vibe. A raw, frayed hem looks bohemian and relaxed. A clean, sharp hem looks polished and intentional. Same dress, different finish, completely different energy. Your haircut works the exact same way. Texture is the edge treatment, what happens at the very ends of your bob. It's the finishing touch. And it has more power over your final look than most people realize. Let me break down your options. Blunt. Blunt texture means the ends are cut straight across with precision. Every single hair ends at the exact same point in a clean, sharp line. There's no softening, no tapering, no choppiness. It's graphic, bold, powerful. Blunt texture says, I mean business. It looks incredible on straight, fine hair because it creates the illusion of maximum thickness and density. But on wavy or very thick hair, it can feel heavy or helmet-like. Textured. Textured ends have been softened with point cutting or razor work. The ends aren't perfectly even. They're slightly choppy, broken up, lived in. This removes bulk, adds movement, and creates that effortless cool girl aesthetic. Textured ends feel modern and undone. Perfect for thick hair that needs relief at the ends, or anyone who wants their bob to look like they didn't try too hard. Soft. Soft texture sits between blunt and textured. The ends have been gently graduated, so they taper slightly rather than sitting in a hard line. It's feminine, romantic, natural-looking. You still have weight, but the edges feel gentle instead of severe. This is the texture for anyone who wants polish without harshness. Wispy. Wispy texture is ultra-delicate, feathered ends that almost disappear into nothing. Think French girl bobs. Think effortless, barely their edges that move with every breath. Wispy texture works beautifully on fine hair when you want airiness and that I woke up like this quality. But be warned, it can look stringy or damaged if not done correctly, or if you have very thick hair. Razored. Razor texture is created using a razor instead of scissors, producing very soft, almost shredded ends with extreme movement. It's edgier than regular texture, more dramatic, more fashion-forward. Razored ends slide and move like butter. But this is technique dependent. A bad razor cut looks choppy and damaged, while a good one looks expensive and intentional. Now, imagine walking into your appointment and saying, I want a chin-length bob, one length, with blunt texture. What did you just communicate? Exactly where it lands, your chin. Exactly how it's layered. One length, no layers, all the weight. Exactly how the ends finish, blunt, sharp, precise. Your stylist now has a complete picture. There is zero room for interpretation. You painted the entire vision with 3 specific words. Or maybe you say, I want a jaw-length bob with long layers and textured ends. Boom. They know it sits at your jaw. They know it has subtle, blended layers for movement. They know the ends are choppy and lived in. Done. Or, I want a collarbone lob with face-framing layers and soft texture. Crystal clear. Collarbone length. Layers just around the face. Ends that taper gently. That is how you ask for a bob. Texture is your finishing signature. It completes the picture. Let's bring this all together. You've been using one word, bob, to describe a universe of possibilities, and then wondering why the universe gave you the wrong one. But now you have something better. You have language. Precise, powerful, stylist-proof language. Length anchors your haircut to something real. Chin length, jaw length, collarbone, shoulder. A fixed point that eliminates confusion about how short or how long. I call this your anchor point, the foundation everything else builds from. Layers define what happens inside. One length for sleek and heavy. Long layers for subtle movement. Short layers for volume and bounce. Graduated for that stacked A-line shape. Face framing for dimension without drama. This is your movement map, the internal structure that determines how your haircut behaves. Texture finishes the story. Blunt for boldness and power. Textured for edge and ease. Soft for romance and femininity. Wispy for delicacy and air. Razored for fashion-forward movement. This is your finishing signature, the edge treatment that makes your bob unmistakably yours. 3 words. Length. Layers. Texture. Your anchor point. Your movement map. Your finishing signature. Say them together and you're not asking for a bob anymore. You're commissioning a custom haircut built specifically for your face, your hair, your life. Let me give you a few complete examples so you can practice. Chin length, one length blunt. That's a sleek, powerful, Anna Wintour editorial bob. Jaw length, long layers, soft texture. That's a romantic, feminine, effortlessly polished bob. Collarbone length, graduated layers, textured ends. That's a voluminous, stacked, cool girl lob with edge. Ear length, short layers, razored texture. That's a bold, edgy, high-fashion pixie bob with maximum movement. See how different those are? All technically bobs. All completely different haircuts. And now you can ask for any of them with total clarity. And here's the beautiful part. This doesn't just protect you from bad haircuts. It transforms your entire salon experience. You walk in confident instead of anxious. You collaborate instead of hope. You lead the conversation instead of surrendering to it. That feeling of dread before an appointment? Gone. That moment of panic when the cape comes off? Gone. That drive home wondering if you're going to cry? Gone. Because you finally have the words. Print them out if you need to. Screenshot this video. Write them on your hand. Whatever it takes to walk into your next appointment armed with your anchor point, your movement map, and your finishing signature. You deserve the bob in your head. Now you know how to ask for it. All right, I need you to do something for me right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's been your biggest bob disaster? I want to hear the horror stories. And more importantly, I want you to tell me which of these 3 words would have saved you. Was it length? Did you end up way shorter than expected because nobody anchored the cut? Was it layers? Did you get a solid, heavy bob when you wanted movement? Or was it texture? Did you end up with blunt ends when you needed something softer and more lived in? Let's start a conversation because I know there are hundreds of you watching right now who have lived through the pain of a miscommunicated bob. And maybe your comment helped someone else avoid the same fate. If this video just saved your next salon appointment, smash that like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to more women who need it. And honestly, every woman needs it. Share this with your group chat. Send it to your sister. Tag your friend who's been burned by a bad bob. Let's spread the word. Subscribe if you haven't already and turn on those notifications because every single week I'm dropping videos that fix your hair, fix your confidence, and fix the broken way we've been taught to communicate about beauty. You deserve to love what you see in the mirror. You deserve to walk out of a salon feeling like a 10. You deserve a haircut that matches the picture in your head. Now you have the words to make it happen. I'll see you in the next one.